And sure enough, they were snuggling in the living room, drinking wine, dancing, then going up to the bedroom suite. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, got your story titled, I Discovered the Affair When I Came Home Early to Tell Her About My Diagnosis. And guys, this story is about a guy. He is a grandfather and father. He sounds like in his late 60s, maybe even early 70s. And long story short, he just found out that he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And he has got probably less than a year to live. It's a real shame. He comes home to tell his wife about this, the final details, and discovers she's hooking up with another dude. Another dude who is one of his business partners. And as you can imagine, it doesn't go too well with him. However, this guy keeps his cool and handles things like a boss because Christmas is coming up. Wants to keep his cool for the family, the kids, the grandkids, and how he goes about things behind the scenes to stick it to her. And you're going to see this guy is very wealthy. He's made a lot of money for himself over his life. And he's doing his best, obviously, to make sure that she gets as little as possible that goes to the kids and grandkids. I thought it'd be a good one to cover here, guys, because it goes to show you, even at that age, 60s or 70s, still this type of bullshit happens. And it is a freaking shame. Because this guy obviously worked his whole life to provide for his family, provide a good life, all that, and this is what he gets. And she obviously knows that he's sick, but obviously doesn't give a shit. And already finding his replacement. What I tell you about gals always will have orbiters and a guy for guys that are replacements when things obviously change. Never ceases to amaze me. So, starts off. He says, I guess the only reason I'm coming here is because of my situation, and of course action does not allow me to fully disclose to those close to me. On the 1st of December, I got the news that I was dreading. All the tests have confirmed the diagnosis, that I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, sir. So basically, this will be my last holiday season. I'm okay with what is going to come. I'm at peace with that. I've had a life well lived. All of my loved ones will be taken care of. I'm a naturally private person, so my wayward wife, Jane, is unaware of my test. I did not want to worry her until I had answers. Well, obviously, she knows there are problems, but she doesn't know the extent of the results. So I head home early to have the talk. This is not something I want to do over the phone or text. Well, as you can guess, since I'm here, my life changed more than once that afternoon. When I arrived at the house, I noticed the car of one of my business partners in the driveway. There was no mistaking it, flashy, expensive, with a personalized license tag. The whole personalized license plate thing is just, to me, that seems like total fucking douchebag. I'm sure somebody watching this has their own personal license plate, but that's just what I think. To say this is out of the ordinary is an understatement. I pull up our home camera system on my phone and notice it is in privacy mode, not recording. So I let it be and drove off to my farm property. Now our camera system is for safety, and I never look at it unless there is a concern. With that said, I also love to watch for wildlife on the outside cameras. I also find it oddly satisfying to watch some storms come through. So for my own enjoyment, years ago I configured a second video recorder to achieve the cameras to a local storage. That storage is not accessible via my phone. So when I was at the farm, I opened up my computer and looked at the other server to confirm what my gut was telling me. And sure enough, they were there, snuggling in the living room, drinking wine, dancing, then going up to the bedroom suite. Apparently, they left the doors open because the microphone recorded all their activities after they left the camera view. Talk about two pieces of garbage. She doesn't know that he obviously has stage 4, but knows obviously there's a problem, and this could be the end of him soon. And obviously his business partner may not know this, but this is a business partner's wife. I mean, come on here. But again, whether they're in their teens, 20s, 30s, but here obviously she's in her 60s, or maybe 50s or 60s, they always have a backup guy in place. That if things are going to end with the one, they have another guy lined up to replace him like that. Grandma carousel riders. With my limited time left, I wanted answers, but I don't want the drama of a confrontation and divorce. Call me what you will, but all my devotion and love for her left me that afternoon. I have all the emotions that are to be expected. I know that I'm not to blame. I've been loyal, romantic, and attuned partner. Well, how many guys were that too? Loyal, romantic, did everything they could, and still wasn't enough. And by the way, just to show you guys, it isn't just the gals there in their teens and 20s or 30s that pull this shit. We're talking grandma carousel riders, like I said. I'm now thinking about myself. I know what is important to me. So I called my lawyer and we reviewed my will and our prenup. I told him what was going on. We worked on understanding how long and to what extent this affair has been going on. What has been found is disturbing, and I either clearly do not know the woman I shared 2+ decades of my life with, or something in her changed. At this time, I'm not going to say anything to the kids. My wayward wife and I did not have any children, or the wayward wife. I'm going to put on a stiff upper lip and get through the holidays. Give the kids and the grandkids one last holiday memory with me involved. I'll be the doting father and grandfather, and then try to play the doting husband role. Well, this goes to show you the strength of a man, an old school man. In spite of him finding out he's going to be dead in a year, and a year, if he's lucky, gets a year. Also, his wife of 2 decades is hooking up one of his business partners, but still, he's burying it deep and keeping his cool to provide a good Christmas, the last Christmas, with his children and grandchildren. Now, he said he doesn't have any children with her, and what he meant by that, obviously, you're going to find he had kids with a previous relationship. And I mean, it's just amazing to me what men can handle, masculine men. And he has every right to explode if he wants to, but he wants to keep it cool, keep it calm for the kids, and also make her not suspect anything so he can handle everything behind the scenes with his attorney. He says, some background for some of the obvious questions. The affair partner is a widower and is not remarried. He is a business partner, but not a friend. I do not invest with friends. I never married my twins' mother. I have a male, a boy and girl. It was her choice, and I completely agree with that at the time, and she made the correct decision. My kid's mother, Sarah, married a very wonderful man, Steve, when the kids were 7. Sarah and Steve never had any kids of their own. I got my head out of my ass when the kids were 3 years old. I've been very involved with them before that, but that is when I started the road to be a father that I wanted to be. Sarah and I co-parented well together, and I would call Steve a friend. Sarah, Steve, and I are in our 60s. Jane is almost 60. Affair partner is in his 50s. Jane and I both is our first marriage. We were in our 30s when we got married. Okay, so this is confusing, so let's review. He had 2 kids with his ex-girlfriend, if you will, the kid's mother, back when he was decades ago. He married a woman, Jane. This guy's in his 60s. His soon-to-be ex-wife now is in her 50s, and she's hooking up with a business partner in his 50s. Okay. He says, what do I need? An outside outlet and release valve. If I'm going to accomplish my goal, I need to vent my anger and talk through my situation. What better outlet than internet strangers? I'm at peace with how and when my life will conclude. Man, we obviously came to terms with him probably his number being up soon a long time ago. But now add in the cheating wife to the mix. Good Lord. And you know what? If him posting his story on here to vent and let people hear his story and share advice and comments gives him peace, so be it. Now, on to the update in terms of how things are going to progress with his cheating a-hole wife. He says, first, I want to thank you all for your support. It really has helped. I've read all your comments and has given me a lot to think about. I'm going to give some general information to help clarify my situation. Sarah and I were very young when we had twins. They were a surprise, but always wanted. So the twins are in their 40s and the grandkids are all teens and older. Christmas is a week-long affair every year. We spend Christmas through New Year's on the farm. We go cut down a tree after everyone else arrives. We decorate, cook, play, and celebrate as a family. Well, that sounds like a pretty cool thing if you're a family type of guy. Sarah and Steve have been part of this tradition since I bought the farm. I remain steadfast in not telling anyone until after the new year. If I told Sarah, she would not have been able to keep it in. I don't want to place Steve in a position to lie to his wife. This is, remember, Steve and Sarah. Sarah is the ex who he has a good relationship with, and the mother of his biological kids. I I want the kids and grandkids to enjoy the week. We will have plenty of time to cry and prepare in a few weeks. Jane's presence this week will just be a small detail in the long run. Really, I don't care about her anymore near the rest of the family. The finances are very interesting. Jane and I met and were married after both of us were very well established in our job and wealth. She had a good job with a great pension. She also had 2 inheritances that were in a trust. Of course, she's a trust fund chick. We agreed early on that we were both comfortable and we would not disclose to each other our entire worth, by her insistence. We also have a prenup where any property and or trust that predate the marriage and any income from those resources are not considered marital property. There you go. Again, on her insistence. Now I have provided both properties, housing with utilities. I purchased the travel, food, and fuel. Basically, I support her 100%. Well, why isn't she paying for things if she obviously has money and wealth? Her income and wealth is spent by her on herself. So her money is her money, but his money is our money. Shocker there. I don't know why he went along with this, but this guy, clueless nice guy. But this guy, even though obviously he's getting burned badly, he sounds like a nice guy that we would all like. He doesn't sound like the typical weak guys in a lot of these stories. You know, he's obviously old school, but even an old school guy that has strength can still be cheated on. It says here, her income and wealth is spent on herself. She purchased her car, clothes, personal travel, and cosmetic surgery. Of course, she had cosmetic surgery. She is a very beautiful woman on the outside, but has shown she is very ugly inside. Well, that usually matches up with the gals that have to have the cosmetic surgery. Have you guys seen a lot of these gals in their 50s, 60s that get the freaking cosmetic surgery? They look worse. I mean, really. A few days after I got my diagnosis, I announced my retirement from the nonprofit. Now knowing what I know, I noticed Jane was a bit uncomfortable. I can guess why. I'll be around more often. So tomorrow is my last day of work. Now I'll be focusing on spending time with the family. I gave the camera server information to my lawyer and gave him access from his office. So I don't know if he had the activities again, but I would assume yes. Again, I don't care at this point. I know who I am and what is my worth, and the AP is a big step down. He's as flashy as the AP is. I am low-key. I drive a 15-year-old pickup truck. I like jeans and t-shirts and coveralls in the winter. I know for a fact that the affair partner does not have anywhere near the wealth that Jane thinks he does. How? Since the trust has invested in his business, I get quarterly financials. So this guy is a very wealthy guy, but you would never know. 15-year-old pickup truck. He could be driving a Ferrari if he wanted to, but no, that's not him. 15-year-old pickup truck. Wears jeans, t-shirts, that type of thing. Meanwhile, the guy that's doing his wife, flashy guy. It's amazing to me how you got people with money, a lot of people with money, you never know, ever. And those are usually the ones that worked hard for it, that made something of themselves, did their grind, obviously didn't have a lot of money at first, and they understand how to stretch a dollar and all that. Meanwhile, you get people that obviously didn't work for it, or just a different mindset. They got to show off and show off and show off. It's so obvious. I don't tell anyone how much I have. That is between me and the accountants. But let's just say that the trust has been growing for 30 years. I live a modest life, and there is enough money there for my great-grandchildren to enjoy the farm and have their education paid for. Once Jane knows what she lost, that will be her reckoning. I just won't see it. He says, December got really busy. We did our normal social rounds these last weekends. The affair partner was at one of the parties. It was hard not to keep an eye on Jane and him. I don't think I was caught. With being so busy and wrapping up everything at the job, I've had an easier time keeping it together. Jane has not expressed anything that would lead me to conclude that she knows that I know. That's because she's so wrapped up in herself. I'm not proud of this, but I still sleep in the same bed. I've been selfish with her as of late. I feel like I'm using her, but she apparently has been using me for at least the better part of this year. I'm not as honorable as many may make me out to be. I hate this small amount of deceit. Dude, if you sleeping in the same bed with her and keeping your cool, acting like nothing happened is what needs to be done to throw her off and get everything lined up so you can make sure she doesn't get anything and strike her hard and all that and take care of your family, then so be it. Now, I get this guy's an honorable guy. He doesn't like being deceitful at all, but believe me, it's warranted. And she deserves it. She's a piece of garbage. Piece of garbage. I'll soon have to pay for her own stuff now. He says here, so don't worry about Jane getting everything because she will not. The trust is in great hands. I have detailed instructions on how it's to be managed. He says, thank you for the comments. I've made plans in case my health turns out for the worse sooner than I want or I pass away unexpectedly. I've also made plans to have in-home care when it is needed. Jane will not be my caregiver. You do not want her to be your caregiver. Don't let this guy have his final days with this freaking harpy. If I become incapacitated, the lawyer will tell Sarah, Steve, and the kids. Jane will be blocked from me. All important papers, valuables, and whatnots have been moved to a safe location. Finally, I've also started letters to each family member, and Jane. Those have been harder than I thought. So I want to update you all before all the festivities begin. I might check out during the holiday week, but if I don't, it is planned and expected. Again, thank you all. So that is it for his story now. Now I'm waiting for more. Hopefully we get to hear what happens with Crazy Jane and all that after the holidays, because he was going to announce it after New Year's. So we got a couple days of 2022 left, and the second I hear an update, I'll certainly do that. But again, guys, this poor bastard, his whole life, he's been with her for 20 years, right? And he obviously had no reason to think she'd do that to him. But, you know, it's amazing how people can put the blinders on and see what they want to see, and they don't pay attention to the red flags. Even guys that aren't weaklings and the types of guys in these stories. But again, he's in his 60s, she's in her 50s, and obviously she knows that he's sick, not the extent of it, and lining up her replacement. But I gotta wonder if even before he was sick, she was obviously screwing around, because I don't buy for a second that this probably is her first rodeo with regards to cheating and all that. I just don't buy it at all, you know. But I wish this guy peace in his final days and with his family and all that. And clearly he's handling it right and getting everything lined up, because I want to hear when she's struck down, because it's terrible, right? I mean, it's bad enough what goes on to young guys and what happens in 20s, 30s, 40s, but this guy's in his 60s, for God's sakes. But can't make this shit up. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me think about this. And guys, you come across a good story like to share, by all means, email it to me. strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it. I definitely will. And also, guys, I've mentioned this before. Check out my new channel, SSM Clips. It's going really well. A lot of stories are a combination of either clips from the stories on here or the Strong Successful Male channel, or other really quick, short stories for people that just only have a few minutes, 3-4 minutes here. Crazy types of stories are definitely entertaining. Just by all means, check it out. Take a second to subscribe. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.